predict them moving through to the next phase?
Yeah.
My answer is yes.
Okay.
Okay.
We just
I don't think that was on the multiple choice.
No.
Hey, at this point in time, everything is just a yes.
in a flash, he just makes a new answer.
Exactly. I love this.
All right, all right.
Everything has to be very subjective and vague.
Just like the draft?
Exactly like a draft. So let's take a quick little look at the draft. With Flash onto the left side and Liquid Indonesia onto the right side.
All right, so Flash SG actually just picked up the Loyi here, first pick. The Mathilda. Hilda still banned out. And yeah, even though we've seen a nerf in the hotfix patch for Hilda, it really hasn't been a prio pick in our ranked games. It still is a prio pick, though, for Aran. This guy is a monster on the pick on the Hilda. It's also pretty flexible here. With having Witty in the team, someone that actually really loves invading as well. But what's strange to me is the fact that they have left open the Granger and the Suyo. Now, these are two very prio picks that Liquid ID have kind of made a name for themselves with.
Yeah, I think nowadays, with teams realizing that there's just way too many meta heroes for you to possibly ban out all of them, letting through the heroes that you feel like you can counter is a very viable strategy. In fact, I think that's precisely why, despite a super high ban rate, Fanny actually has a pretty low win rate throughout the challenge season, because you specifically draft against this. So in this case, Flash has left the Granger open because they know they can get the Irritel, which is still the classic Granger counter, but leaving the Suyo open is interesting. They went for the Loyi instead to go for more of that map rotation.
And just like that, you know, Liquid ID now have a way to go for Yehezkiel's 100% win rate pick, the Novaria that we just mentioned earlier, one of the unique heroes that Mr. Ghost of Jakarta has been able to utilize previously, has made its appearance here in the first match of Stream A. And this is a combo that we have seen before. Long range, plus, you know, that hitbox enhancer with the Astral Echo, plus Granger.
Yep. The Astral Echo buffing up the hitbox so that Def Sonata is able to land a lot more easily. In fact, we do see the Granger combo with Artillery Mage very, very often. Though it usually is the Sicilian, just to make sure that you will never ever lose the late game if your opponent isn't able to end the game early enough. Going for this, though, does mean they need a really solid front line. And that's something that they lack right now.
I think it should still be good, though, for Team Liquid ID. They have a lot of different frontliners that they can still utilize for Witty and for Aran. I think the big question has got to be Witty here, because usually he would just go for the Carmilla in a position like this, but instead they don't go for tanky. Rather, they go for extra damage. Maybe, you know, the strategy right here for Liquid is the best defense is offense. They might want to just delete their opponents before the opponents try to delete them.
Well, Jawhead does love going up against these bulky, slower front lines, so being able to toss the high-lows away from the rest of Flash should enable Liquid to get pickoffs more easily, especially when comboed together with something like the Suyo. But they really do lack AoE right now to deal with potential big diversion plays coming out of Flash. I think a hero that we all need to ask about is that Badang.
Yeah, the Badang has been terrorizing the ranked games here in the Land of Dawn. I don't know if you guys have been facing the Badangs, the Sicilians, the Saviors. So it's already a very, very different game to what we play in our ranked games to the competitive scene, because we don't see any signs of Sicilian. It was left open completely, no Xavier. And just like you mentioned, no Badang. Well, not yet, though it is also a signature pick for Aran when he debuted at MLBB. Coach St. DeLucas even said that Aran reminds him a lot of Diablo.
Damn. If only Diablo is still in team.
If only. This would have been a good
Diablo
matchup.
At the point in time, I would say that Badang would be prio.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But what is interesting here is this seems like it might be a Lucas jungle from Flash Singapore, right?
Yeah, you're right, you're right. Okay. How there's no way it's a Hylos jungle, right?
No
It
way.
is a Lucas jungle.
Yeah.
I have played this matchup before. By the way, this, if you guys know about the collab coming in soon, you know, that's Naruto versus Sasuke right there. But Suyo versus Lucas, this matchup isn't really the best for Lucas. And for Lucas around the turtle fights, I'm not a big fan of him in the jungle. It's so easy to kite around and just bait his skills.
Yeah, I agree with you. Lucas is strongest at level 1 in lane, not in the jungle position. He actually needs a bit of help taking that first camp, and then is very reliant on his ultimate to go for neutral objectives as well. So when you're up against something like a Jawhead, which can just run into your jungle and mess with you, I wonder if this is the right choice.
Honestly, kind of high in cooldowns as well. Let's just put it as that.
Yep.
Especially if they don't play with, you know, what was that battles? What was that spell again? No, not spell. The one that would use the ultimate and then you just kind of refresh.
Temporal Raid?
Temporal Raid, yes. Unfortunately, I don't think that we'll be able to see that either way. But we're going to be looking at the debut of Lucas here on the LAN setting right now between Team Flash versus Liquid Indonesia. How's that going to look like for game number 1? We are going into the Land of Dawn.
Here we are in the Land of Dawn. Thank you so much, Abstract, for that introduction into the Land of Dawn. Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen. Suyo versus Lucas in the jungle. It's Fabian versus Hades. And we do have a bit more time to talk about the drafts here for Team Liquid ID and Flash SG. So let's get down to business. I think for Liquid, I don't know. It looks like a very early game dependent composition. They need to win the early game. They need to look for the snowball. And if they don't, yes, they can still play for the late game in a way with the Granger and the Novaria, but it's not really the best option for them. There are so many angles of attack with the low E, so that front to back is going to be compromised a bit. And the late game is really good for Flash SG2. They have Irithel.
Yeah, the thing is, I agree with you in the sense that Team Liquid ideally wants to be able to get early kills, right? When you have a Jawhead roam, we already saw him helping out the Suyo, clearing the jungle as fast as possible. I'm expecting them to go for a bit of an invade, but I actually don't think it's something they depend on. When you have the Granger, when you have the Novaria, you can 100% rely on your late game scaling. As long as you're not too far behind early game, you actually don't need to have too much to worry about. I actually feel like it's a Flash that really needs to win the early to mid, because Irithel, yes, late game damage is pretty good, but not nearly scaling to match Granger. And when you look at the rest of their heroes, right, Phoveus, Lucas, they're gonna drop off once you reach the full item builds. And so I think the timer's on them.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's very debatable here, right? Because the big problem for the side of Team Liquid ID, especially once we get into the mid game, maybe even the late game, is the fact that, yes, Hylos is going to fall off a bit. Lucas, Phoveus are all going to be falling off in terms of damage, but they can take all the damage, I would say, that Team Liquid ID will be trying to dish out to them. Maybe the pickoff game will be great from Witty. You know, we do have now the new Smart Missile change with the Jawhead. You can shred a lot of the physical defense, but that's only onto one member. You deal with the Hylos, the Phoveus will come in, the Lucas will come in. On top of that, Irithel, I would say, has the better way in the late game here to deal damage towards a lot of the members of Liquid ID, just because the composition synergizes with each other really well. It's a full dive, and the front line will be distracting that front to back. There's so many ways to compromise the very straight front to back of Team Liquid ID.
I think because of this, Team Flash has the advantage, right? Yeah. Earlier on in the game, they're going to be so much better at straight-up man-fighting. Team Liquid has the harder composition to pull off here in general, because they need to make things happen. They gotta achieve certain conditions. They gotta split up Flash. Witty is good at picking off JPL, but he needs that backup to be able to fulfill that. So it depends on whether Team Liquid wants to go all out early, or if they want to hold back and wait for Yeheskiel and Aaron Chiki.
Thanks for the patience, ladies and gentlemen. We're back in the Land of Dawn here after that pause. Resumed back in for the action of Flash SG versus Team Liquid ID. We got to take a look at the player emblem here. It's the Festival of Blood and the agility with the Brave Smite for the Phoveus. Nothing really out of the ordinary. It's just a bit more defensive for JPL there on the Hylo. So no mobility, just going to rely on the Glorious Pathway. It'll be the firmness plus tenacity. And all the lanes seem to be just very, very safe, right? The Granger Irithel lane, no trades happening. It's just a farming lane. Same goes for up top. Ken, even though, you know, this is his debut on the international stage, I believe, he's got to be careful of Aran. That Aran is a cheeky one.
Yeah, Aran is a very cheeky one. Oh, hold on. Witty going to be able to get the throw onto JPL. Aran is there, but not quite enough damage yet since they have a mid Novaria. So JPL, not going to need to worry about that for now.
Straight rotation into the mid lane. This is what we have been seeing fight. Aran!
Yep, that's gonna be a two-man taunt into the ejector. Curtisi picked off straight away. First blood for Fabian. And they're gonna continue it on. Avatar the Guardian dodged by Flash, but they've already lost their mid lane. And a beautiful snipe from Fabian. Once again, the double kill for the Usurper. Now being chased down by Hades. Gonna get that kill. Ejector, though, throws the beast into the tower. Takes him down, and Witty is not quite done. He wants his own double kill.
That's a 4-1 scoreline. Team Liquid ID straight off the bat utilizing this early game in the composition. Wheaty's already looking for more. Bongski's got to be careful.
Bongski going to just barely be able to run away, but had to use his battle spell as well, just to make sure that Witty wouldn't be able to get on top of him.
It was just super disconnected too from FLSG. It definitely felt like, Ken wanted to go in. A few of them wanted to kite back and play for Turtle. And then at the end of it all, you saw Hades just go in solo practically. Getting destroyed, obviously, by TLID, who are on the Turtle. Stun up coming from JPL.
Glorious Pathway comes in. Fabian still gets the Turtle, but he's going to take so much damage as Flash just surrounds him and takes him out. Aran also going to be taking out collateral damage. Double kill goes to Curtisi.
Good adaptation from FLSG right off the mistake that they made in the mid lane. They noticed, hey, our composition relies heavily on us utilizing our resources properly, staying coordinated. They went into that Turtle fight, let go of the Turtle, no problem, but then went in together. Hades on that ultimate, he needs to be clinical with it. Remember, if your ultimate gets baited out, if you use it a bit too early in these fights, it's very easy to kite away from.
Yeah, the cooldown is fairly long, and you need to be able to hit those conditions that actually activate it in the first place. That's why you already mentioned things, but Glorious Pathway used by JPL. Witty gonna be cut off by the Phobias, but Ken gets tossed into the tower. Witty will go down. Will he be able to find Ken in return? The answer is yes. The kill going over the S-Kill as Fabian comes in from the flank and picks off JPL as well.
The classic brawl from the Brawl server. Team Liquid ID continuously just fighting FLSG, but it's actually, responded over by FLSG really well too. They haven't really fallen off too hard. Yeah, there's a 1,000 gold lead obviously from the mistake in the mid lane. But so far, I'd say it's still not the worst for FLSG. They picked up 4 kills on the board. They have kind of stopped the full snowball from this jawhead composition of Team Liquid ID, and they should still be able to wait and rely on that mid-game power spike to maybe turn things around a bit.
Yeah, they really need to depend on that mid-game power spike, actually, because even though Flash has managed to stop the full-out snowball from Witty's setup, Liquid being ahead in farm this early on is actually not ideal, since we've already mentioned that Flash has the bulkier lineup, able to man-fight better, so they need to be able to find that lead back. Otherwise, Aaron, Shiki, Yehezkiel, both haven't died yet. They're farming up a storm.
Aaron actually has already picked up that Sky Piercer second item, deciding not to go for the boots or not going to finish off the boots. Glorious Pathway!
Ooh, they found Witty with Glorious Pathway. AOG comes in a bit late. A beautiful two-man stun, but Fabian is now stuck by himself. Double kill going over to Hades. And now they're looking for more as Flash Singapore running down Team Liquid ID. Hades will be traded by Aaron, but they'll also lose Aaron in exchange as Ken continues chasing the Granger, finds it with that final chase, trades his life for the enemy gold lane, and that is going to be worth it for Flash Singapore.
3 for 2 inside of the turret. Ken was able to dive in, giving so much space now to Bongski to pick up the turtle, or the turret rather, in the bottom lane. Turret number 1 going to the hands of FLSG, and for Team Liquid ID, that early game snowball that they need to look for, it's looking kind of weird now. It's looking kind of shaky. They weren't even able to go for a trade up top. Yehezkiel pushed it in, shoved the wave in, but it wasn't able to take the turret. No ID though, still holding the control over the turtle. That's JPL with the Glorious Pathway again. Aran taking the damage.
They're focusing the Guitar. He's taking a lot of damage, actually. Does he have his ultimate? Not going to be able to use it in time as he gets bursted down. Unstoppable for Curtisi. Damage on the Lucas, doing a lot in the back line as now JPL going to be trading places with Ken. He's jumping straight into Team Liquid, trying to distract Fabian. Fabian gets the kill. Who gets the turtle? Looks like it's Hades as Flash Singapore secures another neutral objective.
The stray dispersion from Curtisi takes Flava Fave out around that turtle pit. Well played. The poke, the damage, you could see it from FLSG. And this is what we were talking about, that mid-game finally starting to show for FLSG. The damage together with the sustain that this composition has. Liquid ID will have to be clinical with how they actually decide on targets. Who do they need to target first? And they gotta get the target down quick.
Yeah, they got 4 kills in the mid lane at the start of the game because they removed Curtizi straight away. That's like the majority of Flash's team fight damage. But ever since then, Flash have already learned they're not positioning themselves dangerously. They're making sure they're able to use their straight up frontline bulk. Ejector on JPL, but he goes for the stun on Witty. Ken gonna chase. The Team Liquid just doesn't have the damage yet.
Not yet. They really have to wait up a bit more for some items here. The Melphic Roar done already. Bongsy walking up onto Avon Shik with a heavy crossbow.
Ooh, the hot lands! Ejector finds the Irritel as Bongsky is punished for his overextension.
Oh! Right as we were talking about, you know, a few of these transfers for Flash SG, no longer with Vanix, the old reliable, super safe gold lane, we get a complete opposite, I would say. Bongsky's been very aggressive, yeah, farming really well, but the heavy crossbow forward into Aaron, a bit too ambitious, and he gets punished for it. This leaves a lot of tempo on the map for Team Liquid ID to gain back control.
Yeah, definitely felt like there was a bit of miscomm there because Bongsky definitely wanted to go in, wanted to do the damage, but the rest of Flash was hesitant. They weren't really backing up their gold laner, and that left him completely vulnerable and isolated by himself. That cannot happen.
No.
They are playing a 5-man front to back. Diversion though into the back line on the mid lane. Flash used by Aaron. And a beautiful disengage from both of the cores of Team Liquid. Now collapsing back onto Flash. AOG lands on Trey. Curtizi shut down straight away. Fabian gonna trade his life away, but I think they're gonna get so much more in return as a double kill goes to the Granger. Make that triple. This is gonna be a free lord for Team Liquid.
In most situations, you take a look at Fabian, Flavor Fave, as the main carry of TLID, but in this game, he was the distraction, the diversion for Flash SG to target, to give all the space in the world to the Ghost of Jakarta, and Aaron Shiki on the Granger. Playing for the poke. What a disengage from Yehezkiel and Aaron to escape from the diversion play of Curtizi. And now the gold lead has spiraled out of control, and Flash SG are back on the back foot.
Yehezkiel plays a good amount of Loyi himself. That was basically don't quote the ancient text to me, boy. I was there when they were written. Beautiful disengage, actually, from Liquid. And they perfectly timed themselves until Flash had used up all of their resources to go for the full-out punish. Aaron, now a real problem. That's a BOD on the Granger.
Just a few kills, you know, and you get the Sky Piercer early. This is the reason you go for the Sky Piercer early on the Granger. Once you get a few kills rolling, those executes just keep on coming. And once you get that, obviously, enough gold for the BOD quick. It seems like he almost just picked up the Melphic Roar a bit too early, and then now you see a very early BOD out of nowhere. TLID looking to go for the siege now in the mid lane. And if we're talking about that mid-game being good for Flash SG, let's talk about something else. Diversion!
Ooh, Yehezkiel gonna be caught out with the glorious pathway, and now the rest of Flash looking to re-engage, but they've already lost Bongsky instantly. Bursted by Fabian. Aaron buying a lot of time in a 1v3 situation, still gonna be able to heal up. AOG cancelled, and Curtizi will pick up that kill.
Great turnaround for Flash SG, again utilizing the diversion of Curtizi to go with the flanks. And this time, they had information that Yehezkiel and Aaron did not have their flickers ready just yet. But we can take a look at the items once again here to take a look at the Granger, who is at 10,000 gold. Almost a 4,000 gold lead between the gold laners here, on the way to either a Winter Crown or a Queen's Wings. Depends on what he wants to go for. Always trying to get on for the winning.
Yep, they're looking for the jaw hit, but they don't really have the numbers needed. And now Ejector throws the horse into the tower. And Team Liquid says, we are the only stallions on the land of Dawn. Ken gonna be chased down. Aaron, Shiki double kill straight away. Diversion defensively, just to make sure there aren't more victims on the count.
They just keep on fighting. Flash SG get the dub, killing Yehezkiel and Aaron Shiki. It looks like it's turned around, but TLID, they do what you can't really predict. They fight on the back again. Witty outplaying, getting the ejector, and now the siege continues. No Ken, no JPL. That means the backliners are also vulnerable.
Ooh, that's a taunt. Beautifully done. Hades forced to use his ultimate. Aran a little bit out of position, but AOG not cancelled this time. You can see the siege potential of Liquid has reached a fever pitch. And that bottom inhibitor stood no chance. But the diversion into back once again finds the Jawhead. Aaron in a tough spot. Gonna find Ken, but he is by himself. Gory's pathway to try and back up to him. But he knows that he can get away. Even spam recalls a little bit to taunt Ken right to his face.
Ken trying to go for the second skill into the flicker combination there. Wasn't able to do it. Now burnt resource over for FLSG. No surprise from Ken. Gonna have to rely on a diversion now. And even that's going to be a bit tough, right? Novaria, before all the changes, when Novaria was still meta, it was actually the best way to deal with the Lo Yi. You throw out the Astral Echo, you get vision of the entire team, and kind of cancels out what the diversion is meant to do. Surprise. Now Team Liquid ID have full control over the Lord. Doesn't seem like it's going to be contested at all. Aaron Shiki is the one who claims it. Fabian doesn't even need to commit that retribution.
You could see that Liquid were even positioning themselves just to make sure that a cheeky diversion wouldn't come in. The bushes were being scouted to make sure that the same mistakes would not be repeated. And now they have a Lord pushing in only one inhibitor for Flash. It's going to be hard to defend this one.
Very, very difficult with the Enhanced Lord coming in. Aran trying to bait out a few resources too. Get a run of that damage still. Got to catch up, pops into Revitalize, and is back to full HP. AOG!
Oh, diversion into the back, but is it too late? Glorious pathway not able to follow up as Ken is immediately bursted. Fabian, the next target though, as Hades will pick up his own killing spree. Lord on top of the crystal. Aaron Shiki in the backline. Hades jumping the Granger, doing so much damage. Winter Crown comes out. Aran is gone. And I'm not sure if Aaron can get away. He loses immortalities, goes for the item swap, but it is not enough, as the rest of Liquid just do not have the bulk needed to save him. Team Liquid not able to find the siege they were looking for.
A bit too aggressive again for Team Liquid ID, and the diversion from behind places Yehezkiel opposition, isolates Fabian from the rest of the team, and it gave an angle for FLSG to again do what we've been talking about, that this composition will be able to do in the later stage of the game, which is destroy that front to back of Team Liquid ID. Now, it's still tough though for FLSG. Yes, they have the diversion. Yes, you can see that Bonsky has reached the item power spike, but Team Liquid ID have gotten so much tempo on the map. They've picked up all 3 base turrets, which means it's a 3-wave slow push, always building up for Liquid ID towards FLSG.
Yeah, Flash were able to punish Liquid for overstaying their welcome and trying to full siege the base, but AOG comes in once again, knocks up one on Ken, and it's going to be an unstoppable force right onto Bonsky. Throws him back into the iron sights of the Granger. Aaron Shiki now looking for more victims. JPL healing up a good amount in the pathway. Hades in the back line finds Yehezkiel, unstoppable for the Lucas, but he's lost his ultimate privileges now. Oh, he's still chasing. Oh, Wind of Nature comes in for Aaron Shiki, but it's going to be enough. Shut down on Hades, but he will be traded. The base now continues the damage. Meanwhile, in the base, we can see a teleport coming in. It is going to be Fabian, the usurper himself, taking the victory from right under their noses.
For a second, we thought in this game he was only meant to be the distraction. He was not the main carry. He finds a way to usurp the highlight reel as well, to steal the spotlight from the rest.